Hey everyone, it's Friday. Friday means Friday Fire Day. It's the Friday show over the last month or so is designed to rail us all in and maybe depress us a little bit. So it kind of shows you how things are on fire, sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way too. And August has sucked. Yes, sleepy August. We'll get into that too. We'll get into the sideways purgatory. We'll get into why we may have a red candle for the month of August. That would be the third month negative so far this year. Bitcoin rarely has 4 red negative months unless it's a bear market. So let's dig into it. Market cap has fallen a bit down to about 2.05 trillion from 2.1 trillion. Bitcoin just popped $700 in not too long a window. It's up around 59.2 as we speak, and dominance is about 56.4%. Fear and greed is back down to 34. But we're going to get into a lot of stuff today. We'll talk about how the economy is in a shambles, some great news about Tesla. We'll talk about other good news about Solana, other good news or bad news about a chain where the fees are at almost all-time lows, but that's actually a bad thing, not a good thing. And we'll talk about the Bitcoin black hole and so much more. Thank you as well. QC Coiner, by the way, I assume QC is from Quebecois. Let me know if I'm right or wrong. And Zeno and Sean Donnelly and everybody out there in the family, thank you for coming today. Now this is financial advice. And shout out to Patreon and the team behind me, everybody. This is from Music Lover X21 says, I'm proud to be in Patreon and so happy I found you. Well, I'm very happy I found you. And everybody out there, happy Friday. Let's get into the Bitcoin black hole. Bit of a combo video. I did a video earlier today about the personas that actually like Bitcoin, and the results will astound you. But anyway, you probably would have seen that already. Let's talk about the black hole and the month of August. Even though the last couple of days have sucked, the Bitcoin ETFs still took in $277 million. Considering the average DCA amount for a retail investor is like $20 to $50 a week. That's a lot for a month. Anyhow, let's look at what happened though. There was a little bit of a nasty surprise. BlackRock, IBIT had their second negative day ever. Not good, but it was a small amount. And the day yesterday was a little bit negative, but nothing too hectic. Again, people are on vacation in the United States this week. I think on Monday it's a thing called Labor Day. I get my holidays confused because I work every day, so I don't know about holidays. But happy Labor Day, if I got that right, to everybody in the US. And we're getting out of August. I don't like sleepy seasons, so I'm happy. And Mike, good to see you, buddy, long-term holder. Let's get into some Bitcoin charts. A couple of interesting things to show here. First of all, remember everybody, everybody's like, oh my God, it's the bear market already. No. We're only 9% into this next epoch, okay? We have only completed 9% of the halving progress, and some people are losing hope, losing their minds. Remember, there is good times ahead, especially in an election year, especially in the latter half of the year, especially in months like October, November, and December, which are historically the best months for Bitcoin. And I do believe, although I say this time is different, I do believe we're still in the bull market and the good stuff is yet to come. But remember, we're still 4x off the bottom. So there's that too. Let's talk about dominance. Shout out to Econometrics. This chart says it all, actually, which supports my previous point. If we look at Bitcoin, ETH, and alts, Bitcoin is the orange. And boy, somebody just spilled a huge can of paint all over the place. That is Bitcoin dominance. And it proves to you that the bull market is not kicked off yet, because if it is a typical crypto market cycle, it means the blue stuff at the bottom, the altcoins, haven't kicked off yet. Yes, they're kind of stronger than they've ever been before because of the use cases. And yes, we've seen Ethereum diminish from over 30% all-time high dominance down to 14.87% right now as we speak. But it does show you that we are still in the early stages of where things are going to go. This sequence of Bitcoin steadily rising, and then now it's 56.4% dominance, of the crypto market cap suggests either an atypical market cycle or that the real bull run has not begun yet, everybody. Thank you, Mike39. Again, happy Friday, everybody. I'm so happy everybody's here on a Friday night and not down the pub. Anyway, remember, the anticipated alt season where altcoins outperform Bitcoin has not even started. And again, I mentioned that ETH dominance at a 4-year low yesterday at that 14.87% or something. And it's down over 50% from its all-time high. And that is kind of an interesting situation. So we'll be tracking this very carefully, especially on Octos and Tuesdays. Gabrielle out there in the Czech Republic. Now, shout out to all the independent miners. There's a few out there on the audience. I know you've got your little rigs running at home, keeping the house warm and noisy. But in Bitcoin, we trust. A lucky miner just won the big Bitcoin mining lottery. Indeed, a solo miner managed to mine a block of transactions on the Bitcoin blockchain with very modest mining capacity. He had 1 or 2 machines. I can't verify, not as many as in this photo, but the capacity was 126 or 128 terahash a second, which is only about, I think, 0.000072% of the total Bitcoin hash rate, which is about 175,000 terahash. I may be off by 1 0. It's either 4 zeros. I think it's 0.000072% of the total Bitcoin mine rate. And they nailed 6.25 Bitcoin. And that's nice little bag to pull out. Anyway, well done to him or her, whoever did it. And there's some interesting stuff. It's funny. Normally, Bitcoin people kind of fight against other people, but this is from James Van Straten, had to share. But there's a lot of talk all year about this power law stuff. And the power law wages on. And just so you know my position, and I am in touch with Giovanni and Fred and great people, okay? James Van Straten, great person, brilliant content, all great people. But there's been a lot of infighting lately, and I don't know why it is. We should all just love each other and get along, you know? But James Van Straten spoke with Giovanni for an hour yesterday. I appreciate all his work, but I have concluded that the power law cannot tell you what will happen, and it is a complete fallacy to think so. The questions I asked Gio, which is for Giovanni, I don't believe the response was good enough for me to change my mind. So, long, detailed stuff there. Again, shout out to James, shout out to Gio, shout out to Fred. Love all you guys. But we'll see. I am a believer in Metcalfe's law. I've seen it work for decades in all sorts of businesses, all sorts of investments. It's a real thing. So, and that is the most important thing to a network is the number of users, not necessarily the power law. And I have been working on a model which takes elements of both and compares them to each other. But I'm not finished because I've been so busy doing other stuff. That's way more important than this. But according to Gio, though, good news for us who are going to be looking forward to Christmas by December of this year. Giovanni believes that Bitcoin will hit, get this, $99,902. Again, he believes we enter the bull market in earnest in November and pass the linear regression line you see there on the chart. So we'll see what happens. 100K is on the table. And we'll be here every day. I'll even be here on Christmas Day. And I'll do a note to self to remind myself to pull this chart up and see where we are, because it doesn't take a lot. We're not that far from the all-time high. We've seen Bitcoin doing $5,000, $6,000 candles in a day. Not a problem. To get from, say, 73.8 to 100K, not a big stretch. And a lot more special things have happened in the past. So we still have a little ways to go for the end of the year. It's almost September. 4 months left. 16 weeks. It's going to be fun, I'm sure. And Bitcoin, sideways purgatory. Shout out to Blockware as well. With macroeconomics and all the other stuff that's going on in the macro, we'll get into that in a minute, is nasty out there. Nasty. But it's been yet another week of extremely boring sideways price action. Bitcoin's down 7% this week. It's down 8.3, 8.4% so far for the month of August. And this is what they call a dip for ants. As it stands, We are just 9% of the way through the current halving epoch. And this is Bitcoin's worst performance price-wise at this point of the cycle. But we've yet to reach the point where significant exponential growth kicks in. And it's Blockware's belief, by the way, that we will continue to trade sideways for another month, maybe. And then we go up into the election, after the election, etc. But this time from this chart is different. If you can zoom into the little black piece at the bottom, that's the current cycle. We are beneath all the 4 previous epochs, but all the other ones kicked off definitely in the next month, in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months. It's going to be fun. So stick around and don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. I made a post yesterday on Patreon. I talked about how it's a famous old saying, but the markets are a weapon to take money from the impatient and give it to the patient. So everybody out there, be patient. That's an order. And short-term holder realized price is 63,000. We're beneath that again. And that sucks. That is not normal for us to be so long under this level. In fact, if we go back to July, 1st of July or end of July to now, we spent the majority, over 80% of the time, under this short-term holder realized cost basis, which is very unusual. That's bull market action, bear market action, I should say. Anyway, watch this place carefully. Remember, we did have what I call the 5Gs, Germany selling a ton. We had Grayscale selling a ton. We had US government threatening to sell. We had Mt. Gox. We had Genesis. 5 kicks in the teeth. It's amazing I still have some left. Now, this is also interesting, switching gears. Where do people get their crypto info? Most people, 34.4% of all people in the cryptoverse get their information from X/Twitter. Both the same thing, by the way. Number 2 is where you all are here right now with me. 23.4% on YouTube and 16% on Telegram. I'm very happy to report, like I did yesterday, that Pavel is out of jail in France. I think he has to end up in court or something. But again, this is where people get their information. I will talk a bit more about Telegram towards the very end, so be careful. It's a warning. And August, Ethereum sees record low usage, and that is the usual summer slowdown. Over the past 5 years, ETH spot volumes have generally declined by about 17% in August. This is what I call the summer doldrums. And last week, the average transaction fee on Ethereum reached an all-time low of 0.0004 ETH, which is amazing because it was over $100 a couple of weeks ago, and now it's almost pennies. And the decrease in transactions in Ethereum has led to a reduction in the amount of ETH being burned, and therefore the inflation of ETH has actually gone up. So it's no longer ultrasound money. Anyway, that's the ETH news, but there's a little bit more too. Solana helps USDC, which is the Circle stablecoin, capture a monster amount of stablecoin market already. They're nowhere near Tether, but they're growing very fast. And as of recent data, Solana holds more than 3/4 of the stablecoin market share for transactions, and USDC is up, making up 65% of Solana stablecoin supply. But what's really critical is Solana is the driving force behind USDC's transaction volume reaching $16 trillion. And these are lots of little transactions, lots of them. Not people moving around 100 grand or whatever on Tether, on Tron, or on Ethereum. These are like some people just moving pennies. But a lot of value has been accruing too, so that's super interesting to watch. And back to Vitalik. He has been selling more ETH. It's the second time he sold recently. He transferred 800 ETH worth about $2 million to a multisig about 40 minutes ago. I think this is early this morning. And on August 9th, he also transferred 3,000, about 8 million. So he's, I don't know if you call it taking profits or selling out, or it's rumored that he has a girlfriend and maybe he's treating her to some stuff. I'm not sure, but he is selling, and that rattles people. Now we're going to switch gears and talk a bit about Tesla, because Tesla rallied hard into the close today, and we know why. First of all, there is a Tesla Model why Refresh reported it's been seen around California here with kind of mappings and dresses on the back. DBF430, thank you so much for coming. And Tesla is planning to release these in Q1 of 2025. They're already running around the roads. Also, there is rumored to be a 7-seater Model Y production. A lot of people have been crying about when 7-seater car, mini SUV. So that's apparently coming too. And I'm not sure where it's going to be built first. But plans are for this to be in Shanghai and, of course, the US perhaps too, or Berlin, I'm not sure. And what else? We have lots of cool things, but this is one of the concept cars. I saw this on Twitter. It might be somewhat what the Robotaxi would look like. Now, why did the Tesla talk? It's a long week. Why did the Tesla stock bounce into the close? Well, just before the close, Tesla plans to unveil a Robotaxi at the Warner Brothers lot in California. That's a movie-making studio in California near Hollywood in a place called Burbank. And this is the big 10/10 event. They're planning something big here, and it has people excited. And that's why they needed more time. Also, coincidentally, electric vehicle interest hits record high, with 28% of people now planning to buy EV next. You'll hear FUD stories on the internet about, oh, people are trading in their EVs for gas cars. No, that's at traditional dealerships that are dying. No, not at all. And Tesla also set a global goal for Robotaxi supremacy in the market. So they're going after this market hard. That's the whole plan. And yes, they're taking their time like they did with the Cybertruck. But now the Cybertruck is the most dominant vehicle. They've made over 30,000 already. They're kicking out about somewhere between 1,550 and 1,700 a week. And people are still spending over $100,000 in these cars. The number one selling 6-digit car on the planet too. And of course, number one selling electric truck as well. Also, the market likes it. This is the spike, shot up $8 going into the close. And again, reminder everybody, it's a long holiday weekend in the US. But there is some aftermarket action on Robinhood, which I sometimes dabble in too. Also, another bit of good news for Tesla. Tesla wins dismissal of DOGE suit. Apparently, a small group of investors allege Elon Musk and his company had manipulated the price of Dogecoin using their X, then Twitter accounts. Stephen Weston, long time no see, buddy. Thank you for coming back. That was interesting. So that's another headache gone out of the way. And it's good to see the legal system working properly for once. But Elon did come out and say something spicy. Farzad made a post, which we've spoken about many times here, about the government budget, and the US government plans on adding another $16 trillion to our national deficit through 2035. You know what? They're adding $1 trillion every 100 days, so 16 trillion will be a very low ball number. In my opinion, it's going to be a lot higher than that, ladies and gentlemen. The deficit, by my calculations, is running 2.4 trillion a year. All right. Okay. So we take 10 years, 2.4 trillion. There's at least 24 trillion right there. And that's assuming no escalation in interest and debt and deficits, which of course will grow. It's just a big snowball running down the hill, growing bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it smashes into a car. That's basically where we are. So ignore 16 trillion. It's going to be at least 24 trillion by my math. But Elon says, at the current rates of government spending, America is in the fast lane to bankruptcy, and government overspending is what causes inflation. So don't listen to politicians when they talk about it's the large corporations jacking prices and stuff. No, it's money printing. It's a monetary phenomenon. That's it. End of story. And a little bit of stock market news, which is kind of interesting because when you compare the monthly returns for Bitcoin to the S&P 500, it's not as good. S&P is in the longest run of gains since March. Another positive day today. Big run into the close too. But so far, the S&P 500 has only had one down month this year as compared to 4 or 5 last year. And Bitcoin has had 3 down months. Unless, of course, Bitcoin is going to rally into... How many days are in this month? I don't even know. I think we have 31 days. Yeah, 31 days in August. So we have tomorrow to get up about 8%. I don't think Bitcoin can run 8% on a Saturday, but we'll see. I doubt it very much. So it's going to be another red candle. But historically as well, September, people are worried that September is normally a very bad year. Well, August is normally a pretty cruddy month as well, but it's been very good for the S&P 500. And historically, September in election years is not that bad. Okay, here you see the actual results. You got your September of election years in blue. You got the red, the average September performance in election years. It's minus 0.58%, nothing burger. And average September performance in non-election years, minus 1.37%. So again, sometimes people overly sweat stuff. Like if you're in crypto, if you lose 4%, 6% a day, it's like nothing. These guys are freaking out about losing 0.50 whatever percent in a month. We're going to get through this. Mr. Keyframes, good to see you. So don't sweat it too much. And also, you know what we got in September? Rate cuts. That will also boost the market. And again, a lot of people have the theory that when rates are cut, everybody gets freaked out and the markets crash. But no, not with liquidity growing the way it is right now as well. I'm your Hookie. Thank you so much for coming. Now, speaking of dollar index was in free fall, but it's bounced. And where's that little key? You see the way it bounced off the range? I shared this chart on Tuesday here and did an analysis right at the bottom, and it did bounce clean off that 100.5 level. Now it's about 101. Not a big move, but what's interesting is to see how the dollar index compares to global liquidity. And check this out. I always try and find patterns in data, and you can see here, for some strange reason, global liquidity and the Dixie run counter to each other. And this is a new phenomenon I was not aware of personally. I know Bitcoin and Dixie run counter to each other, but I know Bitcoin and liquidity run together. So this kind of makes sense. But what is interesting is if you look at July, ever since the beginning of July, and the yellow is liquidity, we rallied hard and we took a bit of a dip back. And that's exactly where the Dixie bounced. Can't make this up, ladies and gentlemen. These two run counter. I actually overlaid a Bitcoin chart too, but it got too busy, and I'm big on simplicity. So I didn't want to busy it up too much. If you want to see it tomorrow, I can throw it back together. Let me know in the comments below. But it's super interesting because the yellow and Bitcoin go together, and the yellow, liquidity, and Dixie go counter. So fun little pattern there. Renato, thank you for coming. Now, because of I didn't mean this to be such a macro story, but this is so important to understand how bad things are out there. This is from, again, Nick. You can see here, the Federal Reserve is focusing on the labor market. We are moving into the post-inflation scare, and this is now the focus of the Fed is do not let the economy crash, I reckon. That tells you everything you need to know about where the monetary policy of the US is going. Focus is labor market. Focus is unemployment rate. Focus is economic activity. Forget the rest. They're not interested in anything else. And sad to say, the economy is not doing well. Another news that just broke literally minutes before I streamed was Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs whacks 1,300 staff. Sorry for the rhyming there again, but that is not nice going into the long Labor Day weekend for the employees to be notified that they are losing their jobs. Goldman Sachs is the top money bank. And for them to have hard times means we're in a real world of hurt. Other views of it too, the U.S. housing market has collapsed. Shout out to Cal Exit the Matrix for bringing this to my attention on Discord. But here you can see the buying conditions in the U.S. housing market have completely collapsed. We are now at levels we've only seen twice. That was, let me get these years right, if I can read them off the chart, 1975 and 1982, 83. The only other two times we've been this low. We're in the toilet. People, it's not that people don't feel like buying homes. People don't have money. And again, politicians will tell you, I'm going to give you $25,000 towards a new house or whatever. that just increases the price by 25,000. It doesn't solve the problems. Like price controls, it doesn't solve the problem. The problem is people don't have money, they don't have down payments, and they can't afford the very high interest rates of mortgages right now. That's the problem, okay? So I wish somebody could explain that to our friends in power. And finally, quick warning, I said I'd get back to Telegram. And again, thank you all for coming too. Yeah, I just see Living Like a Panda says here in the comments, HSBC is also cutting. When the big banks cut, that means we have literally economic problems, okay? They sit on your money and lend it out for 20%. And they're still not making money. That's a worry. Anyway, beware as well. There's a thing called LINKTREE. Somebody tweeted me with it today. And this guy, Paul, thanks for the tip, sir. LINKTREE is supposed to be me. It's not me. I have nothing to do with it. If you click on it, it'll take you to Telegram. I'm not on Telegram. Telegram is a scammer's mecca. All right? And just remember, everybody, I will never reach out one-on-one. There are apparently 38 InvestAnswers on Telegram. 38 of me. And they're all reaching out to you, want to be friends. And, you know, do you want to be part of my special program? I don't know. We know what they say. Just remember, I'm too busy to ever reach out to anybody one-on-one. I'll never do it as long as I live. I promise you that. Thank you all for coming. Have a great weekend. I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you, the mods in the chat. And I am Huckleberry and the whole gang out there. Who did I miss anybody? Doc Intern is here. Renato is here. I'm your Huckleberry is here. Stephen Weston is back. Sean Donnelly, thank you so much. Have a good night out there in the UK. And everybody all over the world, stay safe. Bitcoin's at just above 59,000. Let's see if we get a weekend pump. It'd be funny, though, if it didn't pump on Saturday, but pumped on Sunday, being the 1st of September. It got us back to that 63K level. I did mention 2 weeks ago in Octa, if we don't break 63, we're not going to get ahead. We're going to fall back down. That's exactly what happened. 63, remember the number? We've got to get above 63,000 before we get to the next stage. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. Bye.